Hey VC, this is Luke with Hot Wax and Cool Vinyl. Welcome back. I'm going to show some more records from my purchases over the summer, and particularly basically from mid-July forward. Was able to buy a couple of different collections. As I mentioned in the last video, one of the intriguing one was a Beatles collection. I have some more of those to show you. And I also have some records that I actually picked up yesterday at a flea market in Connecticut called the Elephant's Trunk. It's one of the larger flea markets in the tri-state area. Really well known, and I wasn't actually going to buy any records because I need to pare down and just kind of cull some of my collection. That lasted about an hour, and then I found a few records that I just had to have. So let's start. The first is one that I picked up yesterday, the Modern Jazz Quartet. In this particular case, it's the original film score from No Sun in Venice. Really very good condition, both album and sleeve. I'm not going to bother pulling out the record. I'm going to ask you to take my word for it. It really is in excellent condition. Then we have this one, the Oscar Peterson Trio. This one also is a pickup from yesterday, and kind of really interesting find. This is a German pressing, and they were on Verve Records. There really wasn't a lot of these pressings from the Peterson Trio. This one is really, really in very good condition. And I was rather fortunate to find it at the Elephant's Trunk. I usually am not quite that fortunate, mostly because the record collectors get there earlier. I got there at 7:30. I left here in New York. We left my house at 5 in the morning. We got to the Elephant's Trunk a couple hours later. It took about 2 hours to get there. But generally speaking, by the time I get there at 7:30, the record guys have really already been there, and they picked it pretty hard. But this week one also happened to be the Broomfield Antique Show, which is up in Broomfield, Mass. And so the Elephant's Trunk wasn't quite as busy as it normally was. And so some of the record guys that were there were newer guys I hadn't seen before, and they had very reasonable prices. This I picked up for $5, and so I was very, very pleased. Same place yesterday, Some Girls, and if you look, this is actually a Dutch press, and it's paper cover. The faces here are all models' faces. The Stones faces are on the actual inner sleeve here. This is not a die cut sleeve. But it was certainly missing from my collection. I didn't have any. I have, let's see, I have the two first press die cuts, green band on the top, and then a blue band, and then this pressing as well. I'm missing a couple of the other variations, but as I go through my collection, I usually find them. They're not terribly hard to find. But I don't like spending, $25 on eBay. I prefer spending 10. So, also this Telstar from Le Ventures. This is, I've shown this before. I bought this from one of my local record stores here, and I was a little disappointed because the guy had actually Frankenstein the cover. It was a Dalton record, but it had a Liberty record on the inside. This is the actual Dalton and Dalton record, so I was pleased about that. That was also yesterday, as was this. It's actually on now, and it is Nancy Wilson. I love, as you guys by now know, I have an affinity for throaty jazz and blues singers of the 50s and 60s, Nancy Wilson being one of them. Sarah Vaughan being another. This is a really nice record. Again, sleeve was really tight. The vinyl is really good. The record was, just Mercury Blue Label. I believe this is from 57. Really no complaints, and again, really inexpensive. I think I got the two Sarah Vaughan's. I bought two Sarah Vaughan's and a Miles Davis. I think I paid $12 for all three. Speaking of Miles, again, this is yesterday. Kind of Blue, this is the 87 reissue, the digitally remastered on Columbia. It plays really well. I was very, very, very pleased with the way it played and the way it sounded yesterday. So I was, wasn't gonna be too complainy. And I actually now, as you can see why I couldn't pass up buying records. They were just, the prices were too good, the record quality was too good, and the actual artists available were just, not normally available at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning when I go to any of the flea markets. I'm not a morning person, so I have a hard enough time getting up at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock to go to work. I really don't want to get up at 4 o'clock. As much as I love records, I don't want to get up at 4 o'clock to go buy records. Salvation Army purchase, thrift store purchase, Sugarloaf. Nice little record, good condition. And the Gentrys. I love this cover. I think it's such a great looking cover. Both of those were very inexpensive purchases. And now to the Beatles, 3 of the Beatles albums from the Beatles collection. The first one is an unofficial South Korean press, the Beatles. It says, top selling, the Beatles album. White label. Paper cover. Did not have it in my collection. Don't see them very often. So gave it a spin. A little bit of noise, but once I cleaned it, the noise came back and was well within normal parameters. But honestly, probably won't play this very often. It's just one of those records I want to have in my collection, Same with this one. This is a very interesting Sgt. Pepper's. This is a UK first press, which was really pleasant to see. It's on Parlophone. Again, the vinyl is really not in the best of conditions. It's substantially scuffed. But it's just, it's a UK first press. I don't have it. And now I can say I have it in my collection, and I'm pleased to have it in my collection. Honestly, listening, how many Sgt. Peppers do we all have? I think we all have probably, at the bare minimum, 3 copies, almost always across the board. So listening to it isn't necessarily problematic, but just knowing that I have it in my collection is pleasing to me. And then finally, again, same issue. This is a German press of the Beatles Red. Same thing. This one actually, the vinyl itself in this particular album is actually pretty good. It's very solid. It's very clean. Not a lot of scuffs, not a lot of scratches. If it's been played, it's been limited play. And it's, again, yes, I have several copies of 62 through 66, the Red Album, but this one is a Euro press, which I did not have. And so, add to the collection it goes. And this was all part of that purchase, Beatles album purchase, or Beatles collection purchase, I should say, from earlier in the summer. So that is it for this week as well. Really did buy quite a bit of records this year, so next weekend I'll be doing a flea market where I hope to be able to cull some of my personal collection down, just to create more space, more room. I know we all have, I'm guessing, we all have the same issue as far as space. Records take up space, volumes and volumes of space. And, I'm at 2,000, 2,100 albums, somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000 to 1,200 45s. It just takes up way a lot of space. So I put some in storage, and that worked for a while, but now I'm like, all right, if it's in storage and you're not listening to it, you're not even thinking about listening to it, why don't we just get rid of some of the excess? And so that's what we'll be doing next weekend. So I will try to get some more videos in before that to show some of the other purchases from the summer. Until then, have a great week. I'll speak with everyone soon, and I'm hoping everyone had a great summer as well. All right, cheers all.